There we go. So, Tracy, I know this is a bit of a different one. How do you want to play this one? Do you want to share this and encourage?
Um, yeah, so this one, because it's a different kind of book, and I'm not familiar with your the different coaching that you all do. So I think Suzanne will obviously let us know exactly what the content is going to be. And also the name of the book, isn't it, we're going for today?
Today was really to clarify the name if we come up with it, but I'm not
Yeah.
worried about that until the end, really. It was more about agreeing the broad theme, what's possible, so that people could get underway with the writing, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So shall I throw in? I mean, I sent you around that idea in terms of what I put together to try to persuade people to be part of it. And the sorts of things that were coming to my mind at that point, let me just read off that list again. Do you have your own story of being a client and coaching being too restrictive? So I know that for all of us, we're working in a wider field of coaching than some other coaches do. And I wondered whether there was a story behind that. What was it that made you extend out? Was it because, so if I go personal and vulnerable for a minute, I had a severe episode of betrayal and manipulation for which I went and sought not therapeutic, but coaching based support. Now, if that coaching had not been outside of normal scope of coaching, I don't think it would have been of any value whatsoever. I didn't have a clear idea of goals. I didn't have a clear idea of being able to make decisions or thinking straight. I was in a kind of subclinical trauma response. So it wasn't therapy I needed. I needed to work out what I was going to do. But luckily, I found people who could work at that extended level of coaching. So I wondered if that might be something that people could call on in terms of their own story of what was it, how have they used it in themselves, one idea. Um, for most of us, if not all of us, we are not trained in one modality. We are trained in a multiple set of modalities. And I thought there might be some, again, story around why do we do that? Why do we not just go, oh, NLP is the answer to all our problems, we'll train in NLP and we'll leave it at that? So there might be a big why around that for people. There might be a link to therefore what they use it for, how they individualize it. That was my second one. Third one is around definition and philosophy, in terms of exploring what your definition and philosophy is. That might not be it's a head-based linear model. And the other one linked to that is, how do you sell your coaching? How do you set yourself apart? How do you stand out from the crowd? How do you say you've got something to offer that a standard, if there's such a thing these days, a standard coach isn't there? And the other thing that I don't know if any of you have got the skills, but I think it would be awesome to have a chapter in there linked to AI and that kind of paradox between change, progress, and the risk that we go too far and AI tries to take over and we lose the sheer humanity of coaching if we try and go down the AI. I've been reflecting on my own, so I'll put in another one since I've sent the list round. And at this point, I think I'm going to be writing on something around the concept of musings of a master coach. So, because of the Be Wise Advanced course that I'm running at the moment, we're having some really good conversations about so what else. And I thought there would be some really lovely, kind of challenging, deep reflections around some of the bits that as coaches we might take for granted, possibly have never thought of, or at least have not updated as we've trained more and extended our own skills. So that's where my head is at in terms of the sorts of chapters I was thinking of when I kind of threw the proposal together. It doesn't mean we have to stay within that, but I think people are looking for a guideline of some sort about what's the tone of this book. And I don't know, Frank, was it you or Avalon who asked last time, or it might even have been Hamada, I can't remember. I know it was a male. In terms of, yeah, it limits it somewhat. Is it designed for coachees or coaches? And I thought that was a really good distinction that we need to make for ourselves. Who do we want to be the prime audience? It's not that it can't be both, but if we're writing it to tone it to one, that might change what we write as well. So I guess that's, and you know me, set it up as a collaborative book. I didn't want to come out with a definitive, prescriptive, well, this is what we're going to do and this is what it's going to look like, because that's not me and how I work. So I guess over to you guys. What happens in your system when you hear me say that? Do you get a sense of, is it for coachees or coaches? What would your preference be if you've begun to think about what your chapter is going to be? And do any of those options inspire and excite you? Does it allow you to do what you thought you wanted to do when you said, heck yes, I'm in, sign me up?
Well, we have been thinking about our story, Suzanne, because we're writing together. We have to determine who's doing what and what's the story.
Yep.
And it won't be a surprise to you if somewhere we involve dogs in it.
It would surprise me if you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. But well, our story is how we got together, because it's a nice story of meeting each other, sharing values, and at the end of the day saying, okay, let's be clear on this, we have to do it together. We are not trained psychologists, but we are coming from process technology, and look to personal development and team development as a process. And in that process, we sneak in dogs anytime. It's always Geert who's asking if we are trained in another modality. Can you do that with dogs? So that's what we do.
Nice.
So I think that would be the story we are going to tell.
Yeah, love it. Love it. You've got such a unique offering, right? Because to take the toolbox of modalities and then say, how can I weave dogs into this? What value do they add? Beautiful. So your chapter's kind of relatively clear in terms of your coverage. Do you think it's aimed more at coachees or coaches?
It can be both, and then again not, because if we write it to coaches, we strongly believe that if you integrate dogs in your work, you have to have some knowledge about dogs and how to read it, how to read them, and how to use them, and how to keep your clients and your dogs safe.
Yeah.
So it won't be for all coaches to do.
No.
And then again, it won't be for all coaches to use as well, because if you're afraid of dogs or hate them, it's not your way of working.
Yeah. Beautiful. So you're coming at it from both, and I totally get there's then a boundary around who would be appropriate either way. Totally get that. Yep, love that. I wish I was as clear as you are in the chapter, that if you could just write my outline, that would be lovely. Awesome.
We've got some spare time. Yeah.
Yeah. Wish I had some spare time. Haven't really got spare time, but I will find it. It's going to happen. How does that sit with anyone else? What's bubbling up inside of you? What's getting under your skin?
I would say what's coming up for me is um coming from where I've come from with my own journey of struggles and learning fanatically about holistic health, um, and not feeling like fitting
Mm.
in any box at all, even the ones that don't necessarily say they fit into a box in society. My friends, I didn't really feel because I could see all the sides of all the stories all at once, all the time, uh, and so and then being passionate about how humans could move forwards from the age of 20. so so that sort of sense of how do people look after themselves, learn how to look after themselves. And so I was doing all these, learning all these modalities, and even with coaching, it is about that sense of helping someone to realize something and move forwards, but also the looking after themselves thing. There's always been that piece to the puzzle. And for where I've been at, I'm happy to blend in that sort of idea of self-management and AI as well, because it has really, I mean, ridiculously helped me with my language processing issues in the past as well. So I did I did I did a little test. Someone on a webinar or something said that it can speed up someone's thought processes and processing of tools with this stuff by about 12 times. And I checked out what I might deliberate on in terms of an email that had more than just like a reply back email, something that was dealing with emotional relevance and complexity, and I would potentially even not be able to approach it for 3 weeks, even though I was thinking about it all the time up until that moment. And so um, I can do something that's less emotionally complex now. And I did the workings out, and it felt like it sped me up by 504 times. I did a little math thing, and I've been able to do something in an hour that would have taken me 3 weeks sometimes. And so that for dyslexics, that for ADHDers, and anyone that struggles with that, I think that's really important to show the what's possible with it, but also the entropy side of things, to be able to not from a existential worry point of view with humanity, but an AI, but as in just as a what to look out for in terms of how it can be misused, or in the same way that social media can be either a tool or depending on the intention and stuff like that. So I think that that's something that what's coming up for me. I can definitely look into all of that.
Beautiful. And can I throw something in that if it fits, fits, and if it doesn't, just chuck it out again? Is this whole thing about the sycophantic nature of AI, that if you blend in the looking for somewhere to fit in, looking for somewhere to belong, AI can give you that, but it can be a really superficial level of it.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yes.
Nice. Oh,
Very
I'm getting
much so.
excited about this book then now. Two awesome chapters. Who's next?
I'll go next. So I'm basically going to do exactly the same thing as Frank, but with cats instead of dogs. No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
I would love that, but I know it's a pile of crap. You're not going to do
I'm
that.
trying, but it's not working.
No, there was no sincerity. Our calibration got you straight away.
I'm going to write a chapter that I'm loosely calling at the moment Practical Woo, which is basically going to be how neuroscience and coaching modalities are basically magic, and how they kind of fit together with witchcraft and chaos magic and woo kind of subjects, and how like intention. I wrote in the last chapter a lot about intention and ceremony and ritual. So I think I'm just going to like expand on that and make it a bit weirder and a bit more woo this time. Why are
I
you
love it.
giggling, Suzanne?
No, well, I'm giggling because you know that it's so not my area at all. And I love the fact that we have such high respect for each other and such a close contact that I cannot think in any other area of my life that I would be valuing, respecting, and looking forward to read something like that. And I do, because it's you.
Thank you. I take that as the highest of compliments.
And I wish there was a cat in it, but there you go. Maybe that's your task, is how do you get a cat in there as well somewhere?
Well, it's witchcraft. It's full of cats, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they're all black.
Awesome. Love it. Your chapter on rituals I have used in so many conversations.
Fabulous.
Awesome. Okay, who's next? This is too easy. You've already thought it all through. Oh, coaches or coaches?
Robert, I don't know. Because on the one hand, it's a good kind of like, here's something for my clients to read that might get them really interested in working with me, or people that potentially wanted to work with me. On the other hand, it's like, if you are a coach and you're kind of like that way inclined, here's how you can incorporate the two kind of things together. So it could be I could write it for either, depending on like what the rest of the book is going to be.
Okay. So we're all kind of saying both. I thought it was a really key question when it was asked before, and it was something I hadn't particularly thought about it. And it kind of took me a bit off guard. And I'm like, oh, don't know the answer to that because I haven't thought it through. Now that we're all kind of going both, I don't feel quite so off the wall with not having been clear on that. Maybe it's just about framing it in such a way at the beginning that it's for both.
Maybe it's like not specifically for either. Maybe it's just here's a framework that I use, and whoever gets something from it gets something from it.
Yeah.
Because there's a way to kind of say as you write, like, you can just pepper through and things like, so if you're reading this book for yourself, or if you're reading this as a coach, like and just kind of invite people in that way. But yeah, sorry, Rory, what were you gonna say?
It's all right. It's okay. It's that thing of like when someone gets stuck with something and then they find out something that works, they want to tell people about it, and then sometimes they want to just turn that into their job. It's the same thing as someone that found out about healing and then wants to become a healer. It's like some people get a coach, they want to become a coach, and they can do that on the side or as a full on profession, and that's the beauty of coaching in a lot of ways, even though that is grey area for people that want to be really professional as well. But the whole point is it's about support and how that helps the world. And so there's that sense of that it can be for those that are looking for coaching, and also those that are new coaches that want to expand and into
like
realms
that.
that we haven't thought about.
Love that. Selling coaching that works. I'm making notes in case you wonder why I'm looking at my other screen. Also, I read a beautiful article about this point in time in the world as it is, that coaches are being called to be part of the solution. And I thought that was really lovely as well, that through doing that, you can inspire more coaches, but you can also sell coaching to coaches.
There's also that idea that the more it specifically is targeted, the more it's likely to sell. And so even though people get stuck on like niching, going, oh, I can't niche down because it will cancel out everyone else that I want to. But actually, if it's niche, then people will find out about it as a general subject, but also want to know about it specifically, and people will buy it specifically. So there is that idea of if it's spoken to a particular audience that are doing something like getting into coaching for the first time or something like that, then that also includes people that want to find out about coaching as well. I
Yeah,
don't know, but
but
it's
if you go back in time and you think about when you first ever booked your first course, for me it would have been NLP. I didn't do the research as to what sorts of coaching existed. How valuable would it have been to have been able to read a book that gave me some of the multiple frameworks to help me choose which line I was going to go down? I don't think it existed back then. I can't even think of a book that does that now.
Yeah, same. And you know what? When I've had a look at, the old book Coaching Reimagined, like people like Frank, before I got into book coaching, before that, it was just NLP that I'd heard of. It
Yeah.
was not other, yeah. So now you see Rory, he does his can't ever say the word. What is the word called? Neuro something.
neurodivergence.
That's it. So things
Neurosparky.
so yeah, so since I've been doing the books, like Frank with the dogs and things, I've learned so much as well from other people just from reading these chapters.
Yeah. And that was absolutely what we like for Coaching Reimagined. It was, let's get out there what is already happening beyond the standard coach, because there's no point arguing for it. We're already doing it. So let's just share what we're doing. I guess my challenge this time was, how's it going to be different? So for me this time, I want it to go further, a bit deeper. I love the idea of exploring the role coaching and coaches can have into the future. So the future proofing, the fit for purpose, that almost, I believe the coaching we're doing is future proof, because AI can't do it, because we are not following a linear process. So there's something for me about that is, yeah, maybe off grid is not, and that was only ever a kind of draft title to get you all interested in the first place. And that's why I'm not worried if the title doesn't show up for a while. Once we've written our chapters, I think the title will emerge as we read them all.
It's not off grid, it's beyond lines.
Beyond lines.
Shall I share briefly my
Yeah,
thoughts?
absolutely, Laura, please do.
And I'm just going to write that down off grid, beyond lines. First of all, I'm very excited to meet you all, and I really love all your chapters. Like just hearing about them, I'd want to read them. So, and I similarly am drawn to the idea of sharing my personal story, because I do really enjoy reading other people's stories as well. So that was the angle I was going to go down. So I know Suzanne through interactive drawing therapy, and unlike I know some of you do lots of modalities, but that's mine, is the interactive drawing therapy. Um, I'm not a I'm not a registered therapist. I'm a copywriter, creative artist, trained in this tool, and I share it in a community space. So for me, it's very much about making this tool that therapists use, and there's definitely a place for it, but making it way more accessible, because I think it's got a real simplicity that goes deep. So the general theme for my chapter, it's kind of like, well, one, it will be the personal journey of how I came across the tool, which for me was 10 years ago. My son was going through health issues, and we saw a naturopath that did some drawing with him. And I was so interested in it. And I went and trained in the tool. So I'm going to talk about that in my chapter, and how, as much as I was doing it for my son, it ended up really helping me as the supporter of my son. And now and then I shared it with my, family going through struggles, and it just sort of organically grew sharing it. And I think the general theme for for me at the moment, because I think it's kind of reflective. Reflective of what I'm going through at the moment is I'm picking up practices more and more where I'm able to get in touch with my inner self. And for me, interactive drawing therapy does exactly that. It never, you stay out of it as much as you can as a facilitator. It's a tool to access your inner voice, higher self, true self. So to me, it's interesting hearing you ask, like, what's the future? I guess I have no idea about the future, but I feel that right now, I feel what's very now is people really accessing their selves more clearly through different tools. Yeah, and I'm quite keen I'll reference like podcasts that I've heard that link in with this theme. Yeah, because I think people are really keen to like, I want to get in touch I want to listen to my inner voice, but I don't know what that is. Yeah, that's
Beautiful.
what I would like my chapter to be.
Beautiful. And I'm so glad you're here. I so wanted an IDT focused chapter because it's such a different form of, and yeah, it's like we sit in there, we're kind of the oddbods at the back, right? Because I'm not therapy either. You're not therapy. Sarah's not therapy. And yet we know we can take that and apply it in a perfectly safe way, in a non-therapeutic way. So I would love it to be within the coaching space.
And I might have to chat to you. I know it sounds like most of you have done this before, but I might have to chat with you, Suzanne or Tracy, or about just being careful of like legally, if like what can I share? Obviously, I'm sharing IDT stuff. Does that make sense? But I know everyone, like there are so many books about so many tools. I guess as long as I'm making it my story and I'm sharing. But then I just don't know because I'm quite keen to share exercises in my chapter, so people can almost like sit down and do a 10-minute drawing themselves,
Yeah.
I just need to check the
Yes.
legal side of that, and is that fine? As long as I reference isn't the right word, but what's the word?
Citing the source is what we'll often say.
And I thought I'd make it really clear that like if you are a coach or a therapist, I'd encourage you to take the actual interactive drawing therapy course, I'd make it really clear that, yeah.
So I think if we want to double check ourselves, we could have a conversation with Mary and Irina, who are two of the key trainers in New Zealand.
Yeah, and they could even read my chapter and just check if there's anything that they don't feel comfortable. But I feel like even that the last part of my chapter could also like promote them, so in a way it'd be helpful as well for them, Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think they would be, I am in touch with them fairly regularly, and I'm sure they would be more than willing to do that for us. But also, I think they would love that, right? Because they are now the senior people. So Russell Withers.
I see Irina once a month, so I can also check with her.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
In the last book that I did, there was a lady that done quite a lot of poetry in there because she loves poetry, and it was from somebody else. I can't remember the name of the lady, but she's quite well known. So what she did was got in touch with her and explained that she was going to put the poems in, and then she cited her and give her she referenced it and just promoted her as well, which was really nice. And she loved it, the lady, when she got in contact with her and she told her.
Yeah, I think Mary and Irina would too. And if we can help promote IDT in the doing of it.
And I think I'm doing it in a very personal, also very kind of top level way. I don't really get into the theory deeply. The themes that I think people can take for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, and how you've used it in your own journey of that inner connection. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, love it. Love it. No pressure, Avalon, but it's down to you now. You're muted though.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you, Suzanne. No pressure, really?
No pressure at all.
Where do I start? At the beginning? All right. Thank you all for being here. I'm so glad to be part of this group. I feel less wise after hearing all of you now.
Just for that rubbish out the window.
All right. I began coaching in 2014 alongside doing financial planning. I was a financial advisor. And I've been in financial services for nearly 35 years prior to giving up my license in 2021. I'm a full-time coach now, and I work with young men aged 30s, in their 30s, 40s, and 50s who are building financial services businesses, small businesses. They're pretty successful at what they do. So we're talking here about financial advisors, mortgage brokers, accountants, and even young men who are in middle management positions, maybe in the banks and other financial institutions. So they're pretty switched on with what they do, but the rest of their world is falling apart. And that's the singular running theme through all these so-called successful people. They are successful in what they do. I got into coaching full time only because during the Banking Royal Commission of 2018 that was held in Australia, a number of advisors, young advisors, took their own lives. And the response from society was just muted. We didn't even they didn't even get much of a mention in the media, as if it was not a problem at all. And that started to make me think and look closely about what was going on. And it's pretty obvious that many males feel that they are at the receiving end of society at the moment, for whatever reason. But that's their perception. And as we all know, perception for most people will be their reality, right? Even though we may not feel that. I'm not a trained psychologist, but I have done a mental health first aid course. I have done many modalities with coaching, and one, of course, with Suzanne as well. And that is MBIT. So what I realized is that these young men were desperately are desperately crying out for a safe space to unburden themselves with no judgment and total privacy. And that's what I offer them. These young men are in the high-stress world of finance. Okay, they have left their current roles, most of them, because they realized that the way the DEI, you know what DEI is?
Nope.
Okay. World is working, they are at the bottom of the food chain when it comes to promotions. I don't want to get into too much detail with that for now, but they feel victimized by the current social agenda. And it appears that the male construct has evolved over the last many years. What is it to be male? Okay. So what do I bring to them? I am a male. I am a contrarian. So I'd like to think I look at something, and when people say why, I would like to say, why not? So, and of course, because I do that, I piss off a lot of people. And that's my way of, that's my shitty sense of triumph, okay? So I enjoy pissing off people for good reason. But I love the world of financial services because these young men can relate. They know I've been there, done that. And so they understand where I understand. They know that I understand where they're coming from. Because they feel that society doesn't get them. Their colleagues and friends are constantly walking on eggshells. And there are multiple stories. There are many young blokes out there who want to reach out but don't know how to get to a coach. They just don't know how. And I'm hoping that this book will do something in that direction. So my approach is from the point of view of the coachee. Somebody will read it and say, okay, there is someone out there, or there are some people out there who sort of get us, know where we are. Now, this is a very, very targeted niche. So it is men, it is financial services, and basically people who feel that there's no way they can talk to anyone, not even their wives in certain respects. Okay, I've just got points here, so I'm making sure that I cover it all. So it's a
Yeah.
question of who do you trust and what do I bring to them in terms of trust? I tell them straight away, I'm not part of their friend circle. I'm not their colleague, and neither am I part of the family. And the deal is very clear that I can never be their friend if I am to be their coach. It's one or the other. Because I've had blogs who, once they become so free with you because they come and they unburden themselves, there's sometimes the line gets blurred and they think that they would like to have me as a friend, a confidant. And I very clearly tell them that if that is to be, you'll have to find another coach. So I'm pretty clear about that. Interesting talk about AI. One thing I'm very, very relieved about AI is that AI can never replicate emotions. And AI can never replicate human energetic fields. No way. So no way. So what I focus on is we are emotional beings, whether we like it or not. We are emotional beings, and emotion is only one part of our overall being, but and we are energetic beings as well, right? So that's a bit of the work that I do with my clients. And so from where I'm sitting, I'm pretty confident that while some people might be able to get some short-term solutions, the stuff that I'm dealing with can never be replicated by AI. So I have no fear of AI whatsoever.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. AI can do the process, linear, superficial. I've got this problem in this context, but yeah, beyond that, I don't think we're going to have much competition from it either with the sort of work we do. Avalon, amazing niche in terms of, young men generally, their suicide rate is so much higher than any other group. And it's just, don't even know what the word is. Heartbreaking, doesn't even begin to cover it.
Yeah.
It's like we're losing people and we shouldn't be. And I love the bit about what it takes to be a man as well, because yeah, we've looked at that in one of the courses that I did, and how men are not allowed to be men anymore, or as men used to be. So such a valuable chapter to add in. Beautiful. I guess I can add in Sarah's as well. Sarah will be doing something around the concept of awe. So she's currently doing a master's thesis in awe for art therapy. And she doesn't know exactly, or last time I spoke to her, she didn't know exactly the flavor of it, but it will be something related to awe. And Sarah writes so beautifully. We know that whatever she writes will be just wonderful. So where does that, this is going to be such an amazing book. Where does that leave us in terms of themes, tones? Is there a feel? Have you got a feel, having heard the people who are here at least, any sense of, because somehow Tracy's got to take our eclectic mix and kind of sell it and be clear about what it's about and what it's not about.
I feel like when I was listening to Avalon talking just then, and I got this feeling of like maybe this book is for people who are like, no one gets me.
Oh, yeah.
And because I feel like we've all kind of got a little bit of like that, no one gets me. And those are the people that come to us because we get them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
So it's not so much coaching off a grid, it's us off grid trying to find a coach that can cope with
That's
us.
right.
Well,
That's
and
right.
that's the other thing that I thought of. Are we writing as coaches or are we writing as our human selves who just happen to do coaching with other people?
That's a good point you bring up, Shelley. I think you can't separate the two. That's my view.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I like that the tone of this very much feels like everyone's personal like reasons that they do it. And I think it makes you a better coach for that reason. And it doesn't sound like anyone's chapters are going to be very like academic and like the person's removed. Everyone's like, there's a reason that you like what you're doing. Yeah.
I'm laughing because if anyone drifts into academia, it will be me. And I'm sure whoever reads my chapter will say, get out your head, make it more accessible, exactly as Andrew did to me last time. And it was a much better chapter for having had that challenge thrown at it. So I will take that on board. Coaching unconditioned. Ooh.
Yeah, I
It's
like that.
interesting because sometimes, I don't know, Tracy, this is your realm, but like sometimes you get books with long titles and sometimes they actually are intriguing. Like, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there, like who knew coaching could be like this? It's like a sentence rather than like 3 words. Sometimes that's interesting. Like, I wish someone told me coaching could be like this. Like a long, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get sentence titles.
I can't
Yeah.
believe it's not coaching.
Why didn't someone tell me coaching could look like this? Or, I'm just playing with that kind of.
Yeah.
It's basically unlimited, coaching unlimited.
Yeah. And it's getting that hook, isn't it, for people to want to read more?
Because then it also doesn't sound like, sometimes books can sound like a business that you're trying to sell. It's like actually it's a conversation. So sometimes you could write, the title can sound conversational as well.
What I can do then, am I unmuted? Yeah. What I'll do is I can if you can send me all ideas, everyone, and then I can share them with Suzanne as well. We can all share. And I can get some covers mocked up just to see what sounds good, what we think would sell. So I'll get some ideas together as well.
Beautiful.
Interesting, like, because I've just been reflecting a bit more after hearing about like, is it for my one, coachy versus coaches? If I had to choose one, probably more coachy because I think it is more like for people looking for something. But it's definitely both that would be interested. Yeah.
Yeah. I've just written down who coaches under the themes, who coaches those who don't fit in. No one gets me. I wish someone told me coaching could be like this. Coaching cope with us being off grid. Okay. So it is a bit out there, right? It's a bit kind of going, we're not your standard coach, and we probably don't want to attract standard coachees.
Yeah.
Exceptional coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Conventional coaching.
Have a think. Now that you've heard what people are writing about,
Mm-hmm.
and sleep on it, feel into it, reflect into it, sense around it, have a look on Amazon, maybe do a couple of searches on Amazon, see what else is out there in that sort of field. It's almost like coaching for weirdos by weirdos, but it's clearly we don't want to use that as a title, but that's kind of it, isn't it?
Yeah. This is going to be a really good book, actually. It sounds everyone's what you're all talking about just sounds amazing.
Yeah, and it's not like I don't think we're going to get any competition in the market in terms of I don't know of another book that does this already.
No. And
Or
I do a lot of
anyway,
collaboration books, and
yeah,
they're
yeah.
all like the story, their background, nothing. Yeah, it's different. They're all different.
So with the numbers that we ended up with, Tracy, so how many chapters have we got? Me, Frank, Avalon, Shelley, Jackie, Sarah, Skylar, Rory, Hamada, Lara. We've got 10 chapters, plus an
Yes.
introduction, plus a conclusion. But 10 chapters, what sort of word limit are we looking at?
So for that, I put down 6,000 each. So it's double to what you usually have in a normal book, 3,000. And then in that as well, like I know in the last book, Rory had some really good diagrams as well. So if you want to put any diagrams in, you can as well, some images or and like Lara, you just said about what you do as well. So if you want to add anything in and your what did you say, Lara? You wanted to do a task or something, didn't you, for people? So you're welcome to do all that in the book as well. So about 6,000 words, give or take a little, you know.
Okay, so
Yeah.
controversially, and you might go, no, you're making it way too complicated. If somebody wanted to write 2 chapters of 3,000 each, could they do that instead of one of 6?
Yes, I should think so. You could do part 2. So it could be Lara Phillips part 1, Lara Phillips part 2. You could do that
because
instead if you wanted to.
it might be that some of you have got a couple of kind of avenues.
Yeah.
And if you want to split them, they don't necessarily need to be together. Like
So Frank and Gerard as well, they might want to split some of it or
so it gives us a bit more flexibility that, you know, contemplate what you want to do and how you want to, where you want it to look. Awesome.
Amazing.
One tiny AI thought. I think it's cool to include it. But my only thought was like it doesn't have to overtake the theme of the book, because you know how everything's changing so quickly. And like by the time this book gets out, like it would be really, you don't want to hang everything off something like AI, because like who knows what's going to be out in 12 months time. AI will be long, like old news. Do you know what I mean?
The whole, I think something about the framing within the beginning would be, it's got to look different from the last book, but still around change, uncertainty, individuality. I'm just writing down notes. I know if I think about finding a coach now, and sometimes coaching diversified like that, I do go for coaching relatively regularly. I'm quite picky about who I'll be coached with. And part of that is not somebody too close because of confidentiality and all that stuff. But then the main part is who can take me further than I am? Who can challenge me, both in terms of the confidence to challenge me, because you won't have noticed, but I can be a mouthy git. But also who can challenge me because they have the ability to hold the unknown. I don't want to sit with someone and do same old, same old. So there's something for me about being okay in the unknown that I don't think many coaches are comfortable with. They want to know, they want the process, they want the outcome, they want the... I even read a really interesting part of a book and prepping for the next Be Wise session around, you know, in embraining, we use the word becoming a lot, and a real critique of the word becoming, which I thought was absolutely fascinating. So I love it when somebody throws something at me that challenges what I took for granted and takes me into a new space. And that's kind of what I want this book to do. Going further, it's like the Artemis of coaching. Going to go and look at it from a new perspective no one's ever seen before. hopefully.
Mm.
Coaching in the unknown. I have made a quick note of all of these. Oh, except there's 8 chat. What have I missed? Uncharted coaching. Ooh.
I did send you an email with book title suggestions, Suzanne.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And it was last time we were quite late on, really, and we had to do votes on because not everybody necessarily agreed. The chances, I guess, of us all coming up with one title that we all agree on, and that's where we go, well, it's collaborative, so we go with the majority, unless there's any absolute objection for some reason because it's, I don't know, offensive or whatever. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. You're muted, Tracy. I can see you talking.
Talking to myself. Yeah, we need to also put the launch date in as well, so we can I can start working on that as well, the launch.
Yeah.
Have you got a wedding or something the end of July, Suzanne?
Have I got a wedding? Yeah, my daughter's wedding. It's not my wedding. My daughter's wedding is the 8th of August.
Oh, okay.
So I guess what I was thinking when you said end of July was in that first couple of weeks, it's quite busy with getting your bestseller. So in that couple of weeks from the end of July, I'm going to be focused on Becky's wedding, really. So that's why I thought it possibly wasn't the best. Me, at least.
It's not good for me either. If I have to get something done by the end of July, I will not sleep until then.
What about the end of September?
Yes. The end of October, even.
Does that fit with you, Tracy? Because I know initially we said May. Is that causing you a problem that it's been pushed out?
No, that's fine. I've got a book launching. I've got a collab book launching at end of October and end of November.
So September would be
do
better.
one a month, no more. Yeah, so the end of September would be perfect.
Okay. Anyone got an issue with end of September?
No.
That's a lovely.
No,
So
I
I
saw someone say the end of the beginning of June. I was like, oh, please no, please no.
All right,
No,
so
so you've got a lot more time.
I love September. I love it.
Yes. So I get all the dates and things when I need things by.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. And that might, I guess, move out some of the meetings you've already put in, that we might space them out a little bit more. But also, I would encourage us to keep in touch with each other to kind of keep each other going. What we don't want to do is get to June, July, and we haven't written anything yet. It would be lovely to be ahead of the game because we've got this extra time. Get those draft first chapters in so that we can all read, last time what we did was say at least 2 people from the group read everybody's chapter. So we all had a little bit of extra work to do. I read all of them, and I know Tracy read all of them. And then having that space to do that job well totally changes the quality of the book.
Yeah. I like Lara's as well. Who knew coaching could be like this? There's some good ideas there. There's lots of really good ones.
Yeah. And I found yours on the email, Frank. Thank you. So I've added them into the list. Tracy, I can just send you my notes so that you've got where we're at the moment.
Yeah, I didn't have your last email, Suzanne.
Did you not?
No, it's strange. I can't find it anywhere with the link. That's why I did another link. Let me have a look in my junk. No.
You don't. I can't explain that.
No.
Apologies. Anyway, we all made it. It's been a really good meeting. I'm really excited to be working with Tracy again. I still sit there with that nervous kind of, don't let me be the first book of hers that doesn't get a bestseller.
It is scary. But yeah.
Yeah, because you've done lots now, eh? It's like you just
Yeah.
know what you're doing at that end. So we've just got to come up with our chapters in a timely manner, quality proofread. And I think the topic sells itself. I think it's going to be an absolute,
Yes.
absolute
It's
winner.
going to be a really good one. Definitely.
Thank you. Well, lovely to see you all. Shall I stop recording?